Okay, so this would be a feedback slash critique for chaos, chaos control. Oh, I don't think I've done one for you before. I go by TK Shazam on the Discords. I'm just a nerd who likes Tekken and talking about it. I am by no means a professional player. Just getting that out of the way. You're already getting a lot of advice from the Zaibatsu people about move choices, thought process behind it, a bunch of other stuff, all that other thing. Uh, there's a lot. There's a lot. I don't know what is the direction to take. So I'm going to give. There's not much to break down in your gameplay. I'm just going to talk about my thought process about learning a character real quick, and then I'm going to review this match, just this one, pointing out areas in offense I think you can improve in, areas in defense, and how what I would have done in your situation, right? I will try and discern. There's going to be a running theme here. I'm going to describe a lot of things, and there are some things I'm going to talk about where they do not work at a high level, right? They just don't work. However, at the level you're at, when you're fighting the players you're fighting, especially online, they they have pretty strong results, right? So let's talk about something like quarter circle back 3-2, that whole string, real quick. Long story short, I think the move is powerful at the wall. Outside of that, I'll use it maybe as a gimmick. You should not use it in the general sense because in the long run, should you stay long term committed to this game, you will hit a wall where players will fuzzy duck the string, punish it consistently, launch you for it. And if that is a primary foundation of your offense, you're going to get blown up consistently, and then you're going to be at a loss as to what to do. So when you receive feedback about don't ever use this string, it's bad, etc., etc., these players are trying to help you avoid long-term bad habits that will be very difficult to break in the future, right? The idea behind quarter circle back 3-2-1 is it'll catch people who mash, but against stronger defensive oriented opponents, you will likely get blown up for it. I still recommend it at the wall because that shit is now +7 at the wall. That's insane. And the mids is still knockdown and counter hit wall spot, yada yada yada, right? Basically, the running theme that I'm gonna try and highlight is basically this. Do Here's the move I'm gonna recommend. This will not work at a high level, but I think you should keep it in mind when you just want some easy offense. Because think about it like this. You're not fighting professional players or high level advanced players all the time, right? You're fighting other online randoms that don't have the same knowledge that you do most of the time. Basically, you don't need to fight as if you're fighting a pro player all the time. You need to look at your opponent first and see what they can do. You go, okay, I should not use 3-2 as a string a lot, right? Because the string is duckable and there's no mid follow up, so people will just launch you forever for it, right? However, if I'm fighting someone that does not duck 3-2 because they don't know or they don't care or whatever reason, I'm going to keep using it. It's that simple, right? I'm of the opinion that you can and should abuse knowledge checks when an opponent shows that they clearly cannot adapt to the situation. Just don't let them become your autopilot. Don't let them become the cornerstone of your offense, because when that gimmicky offense stops working and then you don't know what to do, you're screwed, right? I'll try and point out some areas, but keep that in mind as you listen to what all these other people are saying, right? It's don't use this move. Well, why not? This move is clearly working against these opponents. I would say don't let this move become your primary method of attacking. Don't let it become your layer one, right? You should just not use those moves. Test out the moves. If they start answering it cleanly, then yeah, don't bother. But you want to start developing a sense of, I think this opponent is strong. I will not use the gimmick knowledge checks because I don't want to waste my time here. Or I think this opponent does not know the Paul matchup or does not care or just doesn't or just keeps mashing. So I will go ahead and use my knowledge checks, right? That's my philosophy on it. You might be the type of player that goes, I refuse to use knowledge checks whatsoever. They are bad crutches, which is also perfectly valid. You have to kind of just play it and figure out for yourself what type of player you want to be. All right. God, they messaged a shit ton. I'm not going to bother with reading all this. I will hopefully avoid... any repeat information. I'm going to try and avoid just throwing out moves. But the main thing, the running theme that's going to be throughout the advice I'm giving you, try to consider how your moves interact. What do I mean by this? What are some of Paul's best moves, right? Quarter circle back 2, death fist, quarter circle back 4, quarter circle forward 3, right? All of these moves, and just categorize them into high, mid, low, right? Okay, what are, let's go a step further. What is the scariest thing Paul can do? Heat, death fist, but outside of heat, right? It's still probably death fist, because death fist as a heat engager is really funny, right? Basically, the strongest thing Paul can do a lot of the time is a mid, right? So how do we get our mids to land, right? Because most of the time, if your mids get blocked, death fist is launch punishable. Even with the pushback, there are, you know, certain situations where most characters will have a consistent punish for it these days. Quarter circle back 2 is really good. It's safe, but it's -9 on block, maybe -8. You can't be aggressive after it, not usually. It's very rare, right? So you don't always want to do that. Quarter circle back 1 is kind of linear. Basically, you want the mids to hit, right? So how do you do that? You start doing throws, you start doing lows, you start doing highs, right? In the simplest terms, I want my opponent to duck so my mids will hit. I will start doing highs and lows and throws. Okay, my opponent is now ducking. I want them to stop ducking so I can do my highs, throws, and lows again. So you start doing mids. That's it. That is Tekken in a nutshell, I guess. Well, that's really Paul in a nutshell, right? Of course, there's multiple layers to it. How do you get opponents to the wall? How do you condition people, etc., etc.? But the basic idea is, if you have a move you like using, think about how you're going to land that move, right? If the opponent is ducking, your lows aren't going to work and your highs aren't going to work, right? So you start doing mids. If the opponent is stand blocking, they block the mids, but then you're not gaining anything out of it, right? There's some mids will do chip damage, but Paul, not really, not a lot. And chip damage is still not real damage, right? So you need to start doing the highs and lows. And even then, you can break it down further. The highs are very safe, offering a lot of coverage. Quarter circle back 4, pretty good range, homing, plus on block, counter hit launcher. The move's great, right? But it only does chip damage. So think about that. Okay, what if I want real damage, right? I don't want my opponent to have health that they can recover. So you need to start doing lows. Quarter circle forward 3, back 4, sidestep 3, right? Stuff like that. Because that will start getting you real damage, right? Poking damage is very powerful in this game because the opponent will not have any gray health they can recover. You still want your counter hit launchers and your combos, but you have to start incorporating a lot of lows and throws because they offer true damage, right? They will leave the opponent with less gray health than a combo or a counter hit starter. So that way you don't have to worry about them landing a lucky heat engager and then all of a sudden all their health is back, right? So, with all of that lecturing done, let's go into the match real quick. I'll just point out some areas that I'm thinking, hey, you should try this more. Hey, you should do this more. And I'll hopefully give you some food for thought. A matchup knowledge I'm not going to talk about right now. I just want to talk about how to develop your offense. I'll point out some areas like this. Okay, so let's just analyze this real quick. Long story short, the moment you see Paul dive down like this, you should just hop kick. Practice building up that reaction into hop kicking. Blocking is kind of tricky because the Paul can cancel this and do a while standing launcher, and if you're not quick to react, you won't stand up in time to block it, right? Because you'll be looking for the low. Well, the thing is, in my opinion, is if you are able to react to them canceling it and stand blocking, why not just react to the dive in the first place and then hop kick? Maybe it's easier said than done. Maybe I'm oversimplifying a complicated situation, but whatever. But the thing about that is Paul does not have a punish for this, right? This is negative 19, but you don't have anything that lands here. You can do maybe full crouch down forward 4, or down forward 2-1 actually, now that I think about it. But it's like, okay, well, if you could do that, you could also just hop kick and launch. I don't know, but whatever. Okay, so now you're in this range, right? You're at the super far pushback range, and you look what is likely a messed up death fist because you get while standing 2 instead, right? So the thing to consider is why did you death fist? Again, why did you think Death Fist would work? Is it because you just throw out Death Fist randomly in neutral and it just seems to work, right? What is the idea behind you throwing out Death Fist? Flat out, I think at this range, you just start doing lows. So at this range, does he start backdashing? He starts backdashing a little bit, but he's not doing KBD, right? He's not doing Korean backdash canceling, right? So if you just dash up, or even at this range, like he's still backdashing, it doesn't matter. Your core circle forward 3, if you did it here, would reach him. Then you got 17 free damage. You're neutral on hit, so it's you can still try to push some offense here and there, but it's not like it's your turn. But I think being neutral on hit is still really good, right? It's better than negative. Always on the bright side. But you're not, as opposed to you just whiffing while standing 2 like that in their face. Long-term investment for Paul, do not whiff pointless buttons. Just don't do it. You will die. Paul is great because his move gets blocked and he's safe. Or if it's his low, it's safer than it is in most other lows, right? He's either getting a small punish, he's either eating a small punish, or he's not getting punished at all. But that's only on block. Right? If you start whiffing moves in your opponent's face, you will face opponents who will whiff punish you, and they will just destroy you for it. So don't just stand there whiffing down forward 2 randomly like that. Or any move. Try to get into the habit of getting used to, okay, am I in the spacing where this move is going to get blocked? Yes? Okay, do it. Right? It's either going to get hit or blocked. If not, don't just whiff in your opponent's face like that. You can maybe do like whiffing down forward 2 at a range to like taunt the opponent. That's really funny. I've done that before, but generally speaking, try not to have Paul whiff any moves. It's not fun. All right, matchup knowledge time. Always just duck this. Until they give Paul a random ass mid follow-up from the string, it's only a high. Just duck it. Always practice launching it. But again, it's more matchup knowledge based. But the other thing to consider here, if we break it down further, right, is why are you pressing here? You're clearly blocking something, and you play Paul as well, right? Like you know this is good. This can be canceled into backsway. You know there's going to be more attacks to come. So what did you press? You pressed back 3. Why? Or were you doing? Oh, you're doing quarter circle back 3. You're holding back at 35, and then, yeah, so you did quarter circle back 3. Why? What was the reasoning behind that? I'm not saying this to try and flame you. I'm not saying this as like a guess my riddles 3, right? I'm not trying to do that. I'm genuinely trying to get you to think about when you press a button in a situation, what is your thought process behind it? Why are you pressing that button, right? What is your goal? Try and think about creating goals in your game plan to set up and achieve, right? If you are trying to get them to duck, right? Doing a low is fine, but in the context of this situation, right? Was the low appropriate, right? or if you wanted to get them to the wall. Does what you were doing achieve that, right? And the risk reward associated with that move. Try to start incorporating, okay, I blocked something from my opponent. How minus was the move? How plus was the move? Could I have done a different move? Why did I choose the move I did? What was the reasoning? Do I want the specific reward? Was the specific reward actually worth it? Again, you don't have to write out your thesis statement about this like I'm doing, but you want to start considering that and start thinking about, when you press a button as Paul, why are you doing it? Was it worth it? Right? Stuff like that. This is another long-term Paul thing, right? If you block something, especially if that move is launch punishable, you gotta launch it. There's always that issue of, character bias. Like, I play Paul, I main Paul, and I'm gonna start sucking off Paul, talking about how OMG Paul is so difficult and hard to play. But I don't know, man. He genuinely is. But look at, basically, as you fight higher ranking opponents, and more importantly, as you fight stronger characters, if the opponent is giving you a launch opportunity, right, you need to take it. Matchup knowledge and punishment are very critical to playing Paul at a high level, just straight up. There's no... I'm not here to talk about, like, OMG, it's so hard as Paul. This is just the reality of it, right? I think Paul is pretty good in this game. I like playing him. However, if I did not know most launch punish situations in this game, I would just die as Paul, because I'm just leaving out free damage on the table. And really, that's any character, right? But Paul, without going into this whole fucking power level discussion tangent, the idea is that he doesn't have this, let me just run my offense, and then just profit, right? He's not Dragunov, he's not Fang, he's not Hwoarang, he's not Zhao Yu. Here, he's not this type of character that if I just press my gimmicky flowchart, I will steamroll my opponent and not have to defend. You have to defend as Paul. You have to block. You have to punish. So just be prepared for that in the long term. I'm not saying you need to know every single -10 situation in this game, but if you run into a launch punish situation, you want to be ready for it. Aren't you plus? Yeah, wait. What happened here? Oh, you didn't fully charge it. That's interesting. Oh, yeah. So only half charging it still leaves you myself. This Paul didn't know either. It's whatever. Okay, you blocked it this time. Nice. Okay, so again, what is the reasoning here? Why are you doing quarter circle back 3, right? You just blocked a -9 move from the opponent. This guy is backdashing. A lot of players, especially at this level, are going to be backdashing a lot because they block something and they're like, all right, time to start backdashing. But then they're not ready for your lows, right? Long story short, nobody blocks lows at this level. Start doing in core circle forward 3. Start doing dash in back 4, right? Get some easy plus frames. Do something. But quarter circle back 3, don't use it outside of you're calling out a high attack from the opponent because it does high crush, right? You're doing it out of down forward 1 because you're trying to avoid whatever mix-up scenario they got going on, or trying to challenge your backswing mix-ups. Or you're at the wall. I do not recommend quarter circle back 3 in the neutral like this. Okay, so you're dashing back and forth. I mean, there is a bit of a meta thing of like you just want to run out the timer and let this Paul run out of heat, but there's not really this stage is really big. You're not going to get the wall anytime soon, so I don't think Paul's heat mechanics are as scary as they would be in other stages. But here, so you have to ask yourself, okay, in this situation, do I just let the Paul approach me and then do keep out moves, or do I just stay still and let the opponent worry about getting in, right? And just let the heat timer run out. Paul doesn't have any mechanics to retain his heat. To regain heat meter, right? He only can force you to block a bunch and then hopefully keep the timer going and maybe save it a little bit later. But he's not like King, who for some fucking reason can get his heat meter back, right? Or maybe Shaheen or whoever else, it doesn't matter. So here I would try to wait out the timer a little bit and force the opponent into forcing an interaction. These early in these levels, the opponents are going to get antsy a lot, and they're going to try and run in and try to cash out on their heat. And as you run in, that's when you go, okay, they started running at me, down forward 2, right? Or quarter circle back 4, or some form of keep out. Right here, why are you pressing forward 2? What was the reasoning? Is it keep out? I kind of get it, I kind of don't. Right? I feel like if you're going to keep out using a high, quarter circle back 4 better serves that purpose. Doing 1-2, just a simple jab string 1-2 better serves that purpose. Doing something like down forward 2 will be a mid as they run into it, better serves that purpose. At this far range, you want to start spamming your safe tools that are difficult for the opponent to deal with, and that way you can kind of control space, right? The idea is, in this range you're at, you are trying to control space. You're not trying to start offense or anything like that. You're just trying to poke, control space, force the opponent into making a mistake, or getting annoyed at you, rushing in, and then they rush in, and then you go down forward 2 and they run into it. Stuff like that. That was really funny. I've never seen that get grabbed. Nice. Good challenge. Oh my god, so many interactions. Okay, so you're doing a bunch of stuff, and again, like I said before, think about why you're doing some of the things that you're doing. But like right here, this is the prime. This is what you want to be prepared for as Paul. You are just blocking, you spaced yourself slightly, and the opponent keeps mashing, and then they whiff a button in front of your face. When you look back at the replay, really just look at the screen and look how long this Paul is as he's just standing there with his hand out. Trust me, if instead of doing the backswing move that you were ready and just did down forward 2, you would have launched, right? Easy. And then done your easy mode combo, get some nice damage in, start getting that Oki, and start closing out the round. That is the idea for Paul, right? You are turtling up, you are either setting up your counter hits through conditioning, or you're waiting for the opponent to start slamming a bunch of buttons as they are willing to do as Paul, and then whiff punishing them. That should be your mindset for how this goes. Don't... that's fine. Just keep going. Like right here. See? That's what I'm talking about. You do it enough times, even the Shiryus will start launching you. If you're not ready for the down forward 2 launch punish, that's fine. If you're going to do a backsway move, just do backsway 4 at the start, right? Layer 1, your starting offense should be quarter circle back 4. These opponents are not going to start flash tucking. He's just backdashing, right? Your quarter circle back 4 would have caught him backdashing. It might have hit, it might have not, but even if it gets blocked, again, try to abuse the block frame situations. Think about how, quarter circle back 4 got blocked, I'm still +1 and I can continue offense or setting up something else or mix up or whatever else. But doing quarter circle back 3, when, again, spacing, this thing just whiffs in your opponent's face and then they're ready for the launch punish like this, right? It's not going to do anything. Unfortunate. Nice, that's really funny. I don't think I've ever seen that. I don't disagree with the mix-up. You just, you went lower mid. He guessed right, but he didn't punish you, which is more than fine. That's fine. That worked out. I think I'm gonna see a lot. Oh god, I've already been talking for so long. I think I'm gonna see a lot more of the same. So I don't think. Let's just finish out the round. Another launch punish opportunity. Got to be prepared for those. Not much else to say here. Nice. Yo, that's a sick pickup. Nice. Finish it up. Finish it up. No. That's tough, right? Because if you run in and he wakes up wakes up with Rage Art, you're kind of in a tough spot. Okay. All right. Beautiful. That round was fine. I don't have anything else to add. I just want to keep going. Okay, so here's the thing. I like the idea you went for here. I think the grab was the right idea. I just think a one break at the start is kind of tough because a lot of people mass jabs. So try to go with the two breaks, so 2+4 back, or doing a 1+2 break. All right. That's the other thing is you have to start developing a sense for when is it time to hop off an option, right? Okay, so I like doing a low. I really like using this low. However, the opponent will eventually start blocking those, and you have to develop a sense of reading the timing and going, I think they're going to start blocking low now, right? So I will swap to a mid. And it's the same concept with throws, right? At the level you're at, nobody is breaking throws on reaction by looking at the animation, right? Unless it's like some Smurf account, but 99% of the time they're not, right? So instead you have to start considering, okay, I used a one break every single time against a player who mashes one jab a lot. Am I really going to get that one throw often? No, right? Because they're mashing one jab. What's your one break throw? Oh, right, it's a one break. And that's so the same concept applies. When you have to start thinking about, okay, when do I stop doing the lower, the higher the throw and start doing mids? Okay, same thing as a throw. When do I stop doing the one break and start doing the two break or the 1+2 break or the other one break or something? Or when do you alter your timing? Stuff like that. Try to think about these things, right? If something is not working out in the match, why? What is the reason? The information is in front of you, right? If your lows are not working, is it your timing, or maybe the opponent just likes blocking low and you got to start doing mids? If a specific grab is not working, why? Is it because this opponent likes to mash with one jab a lot, right? If that's the case, 1+2 or 2, right? Paul has a full throw game. Need to abuse it because throws are OP in Tekken 8. Very powerful, very good. But the idea of dash up throw, I like a lot. I think it's very powerful. It really catches people off guard, especially as you start taxing them, their mental stack with a lot of options. Okay. See, this is what I'm talking about. If you had enough time, if you know the low is coming, just hop kick. But it's whatever. That's fine. You're pressing again in a guaranteed string situation. Why? Why? So many issues. Alright, I think I've seen enough. I don't think there's... I mean, I could finish out the round, but there's not much else to stay here. Okay, Demo Man. Oh, this is already really long, though. Alright, I'll start wrapping it up here. I already got out most of my thoughts. Look, don't use Demo Man unless they're super close to you. I know it seems like a simple concept, but you have to understand like how often Demo Man gets people killed at higher levels. Once people start backdashing a lot, Demo Man is just not going to do it for you, right? It's just not. And you need to figure out quickly how to use sidestep 3, how to use quarter circle forward 3, how to use back 4 because it's a real stature kick now. Meaning it's made safer, it's only -12, it's +4 on hit now, it's very powerful. Could use a bit of a damage buff, but whatever, can't have it all, right? You need to start understanding how to utilize those tools. The core theme of Paul, how do you utilize his low commitment, medium reward tools to cash in on his higher commitment, still kind of medium, but usually higher reward tools, right? If you are just doing your high risk, medium reward shit all the time, like Death Fist and Demo Man, you're building up bad habits that are going to get you killed, right? There's not really there's not really like a, if you follow these steps from A to Z, this is how you'll succeed with Paul. It's really just about Start looking at his low commitment options. Start looking at what his high commitment options are, the typically higher reward, and then how to start setting them up, right? I mean, you've already gotten a list a bunch of moves to use. I'm not gonna go through it and see what else is there, but just figure it out. But you have to start. You have to start considering, again, how do your moves interact with each other? How can you make them support one another? The moves are meant to be used together, not a single. I mean, you can. People like to gush about how all you need with Paul is Death Fist, Demo Man, and movement, right? But even then, those concepts are always interacting. You have a low, a mid, and movement. Figure it out, right? So you have to start thinking about how these moves interact, how to set up your moves. Another thing to consider is poking and just playing neutral in Paul. Long story short, Paul's kind of a sluggish character for a variety of reasons, mainly because his down forward one is 14 frames as opposed to the typical 13. What do I mean by this? If the opponent's up in your face and slamming a bunch of buttons, it's very hard for Paul to do the same back, right? He just doesn't command a lot of plus frames and brawling, like poke, poke, poke with jab, and then down forward one, poke, poke, poke with jab, down forward. He doesn't do that a lot. He doesn't do it well. I think his down forward one is good, but that's for different reasons, not for the standard gameplay you usually see out of it. The long story short of it is, try to think about the speed of the moves. One, you need to figure out how to use a one jab, right? As Paul, it is vital, not detrimental. It is vital to figure out how to use a one jab as Paul. But the long and short of it is, what are your faster tools? How do you utilize those faster tools in order to set up your slower moves and figuring out how to place them? That is my opinion, right? You use a jab, you use down back 3, you use down back 4, you use down forward 2, down forward 1, sometimes throws are especially powerful, and you kind of start to build up and knowing when to sense to start throwing out your slower moves like quarter circle back 4, quarter circle back 2, even quarter circle back 1+2 because it's a funny like backswing style blow, but whatever, right? Forward 1+2, you gotta use forward 1+2. That move is amazing, right? Down forward 4. Figuring out when to use your fast moves, when to use your slow moves, and the timing for that stuff, right? Okay, I mean, I rambled a bunch, said my piece, said my thought process behind it, a little bit into it. You've already mentioned that you're just going to take some time to think about this and try and incorporate stuff. Feel free to ask questions in the Paul Discord and let us know what you think. If you have questions, ask away. Have a good one.